Hi there, John Stroud, editor of the Glenwood Springs Post-Independent. We're here live at the Grand Avenue Bridge dedication ceremony here in downtown Glenwood Springs. Just heard from a choir sang some songs for us, and we're going to hear some special guest speakers here in a little bit, including Governor John Hickenlooper is going to be here. So we'll hear what he has to say. In the meantime, I'm going to kind of go around and chat with a few people here and hear their perspectives on this great grand new bridge here in downtown Glenwood Springs. Jonathan Gorst, John Stroud, Post-Independent. Did you think you ever see this day come?
I was hoping for it for many days, and it's
finally here. What do you think of all the festivities here for this occasion?
Great, we have the artists. They're going to be doing the sitting the whole weekend.
Oh, good.
Excited to have them. That's my first time.
Really? Yeah. Really? That's great. Yeah, yeah. They're good. Add to the atmosphere here.
That's right.
Sure.
Our dignitaries speak, and we move on. We're going to have a passenger all
Great. All right. Thanks.
Great to see you.
You too.
That's it.
Hey, how's it going? You want to say something on this grand occasion? I'm live on Facebook here.
Live on Facebook. It's very exciting. And this area underneath the bridge is much nicer. Very, very welcome.
Yeah, you look forward to some street dances down here then?
Oh, absolutely. Embarrass myself.
Hey, Frank Martin, what do you have to say about this grand occasion here?
What do I think about it? Oh man, this is super cool. Great space. The whole, celebrating once again. Open. Yeah.
All right. Do you look forward to seeing what happens down in this space underneath the bridge here?
I want to come down and play.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Thanks.
Hey, John.
Lisa Langer, what do you think of this grand occasion here?
Well, I'm very excited to be here. This bridge is the pinnacle of what Glenwood Springs will be and what it is today. So we're really excited about tourism and the beautification of the community.
Great. And what about this space down here? What do you hope to see transpire down here in the years to come?
I'm so happy to see such a large space on the bridge. I think that it's going to be a fantastic venue for outdoor concerts and for everyone to just have a great time in an open space and really be a community area. So I'm happy to see it.
Great. Great. All right. Thanks.
Finally!
standing bit? Okay, maybe that's a little better. Sorry about that. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Grand Avenue Parade this morning from Glenwood. My name is David Eller. I'm the CDOT Regional Director of Northwest Colorado. I'm pleased to be here today for the celebration, and thank you all for coming. We have some speakers lined up for today. We have different folks. So we have Josh Lately, our Chief Engineer from CDOT, going to speak. Barry Wilson, the police chief here in Glenwood Springs. Pat Police with our joint venture project, the contractor. Commissioner John Jankowski from Garfield County. Our FHWA Director, John Cater. And of course, our Honorable Governor, John Hickman. I also think I've seen State Representative Bob Rankin. Joyce Rankin in the crowd. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. Before I get started, I kind of want to talk just a little bit, make some quick thank yous. I can stand up here all day and thank people, and I know we have a lot of speakers, so I'll try to be quick. This project's a monumental project. Now we have too much sound. This project's a monumental project for CDOT, for this community, for the Western Slope. And I think as you look at the bridge and how beautiful it is and the context-sensitive solutions that were brought into the aesthetics, it's pretty easy to see why it's monumental. But I think the other thing that we recognize at CDOT that makes this bridge so monumental and this project so monumental is the community involvement we've had and the support we've had from not only the city of Glenwood Springs, Garfield County, Roaring Fork Valley, but all the businesses and the community members here in town and throughout the valley. We had a lot of support from RAFTA, Dan Blankenship and that group, the Valley View Hospital, the Roaring Fork Valley School District, like I said, all of our emergency services, the police, fire. Without those folks being part of this project, it wouldn't be as successful as it was today. So I certainly want to make sure that we thank those folks, we recognize how important they were to make this a success, and maybe even more importantly, all the business community and all the people that have tolerated the construction. You know, it's been a big deal, and I thank all of you. If you're a part of that, congratulations, good job. You should be very proud of what you've accomplished. I do have some CDOT staff that, again, I could go through many names, but I do want to call out a few people that I've seen here today. This project, I was maybe unfortunate, maybe fortunate, maybe it's a career thing for them, but I retired 2 program engineers on this project. Joe Elson, who is a longtime resident here, was monumental in getting this across the line, getting funding partnerships in place, getting the design done. I seen him, then I brought in another program engineer. He retired, Steve Olson, for a couple of years, and he helped get through construction. And those 2 guys were phenomenal to make it happen. There's one individual, the resident engineer, now my new program engineer here in Glenwood, Roland Wagner, who probably spent 6+ years of his life on this project. And it really was a big deal for him, and he was there from the start to the finish. His team, my project engineer, Josh Cohen, and all the construction management team that supported him. Josh is a very quiet guy, not assuming, but he kept things moving in a calm, collected manner, and a very safe project, so I appreciate that team. All my specialty units, my maintenance folks from CDOT who were part of it, I appreciate them. Environmental teams that helped deliver this, right-of-way teams, they worked tirelessly on this project. With that, there was a group of people that was our public information group, and we did things a little different on this project where we brought in public information from the locals, from the contractor, from CDOT, and they worked tirelessly to make sure the community knew what was going on, had stakeholder meetings. It was very impressive. I think we learned a lot of things here at CDOT about how that worked. And Tracy Truelove, Tom Nolan, Gina Sheldrick, and Catherine Wanovich, I'm sorry. I appreciate what y'all did, and I don't think we could have a successful project without the effort you ladies did. So thank you, and to Tom. Thank you very much. Matt Cirilli, our Bridge Enterprise Group, was monumental in helping us get the funding for this project. So there's a lot of people I can stand up there and talk about, but those are a few. Our consultant team of TSH, AMEC, Jacobs, who helped get the design accomplished, and our support from HDR and Parsons Group. Thank all that staff for a great project. Again, you should all be very proud.
With that, I'm going to move on to introducing our first speaker, and our executive director, Mike Lewis, has been very involved in this project. He's been on the executive oversight team. He could not make it today. He apologizes. He had another commitment in Denver talking about ballot initiatives. So he was unfortunate. He wanted me to make sure to tell everybody he's sorry he wasn't here because it was an important project for him. With that, I'm going to introduce our chief engineer here at CDOT, Josh Lakely, and I'm going to tell y'all, last time I seen him on the stage, he fell off. So we hope he does better. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Hopefully Dave's here to spot me for this. Back in 2009, faster legislation was passed, and it was passed, the idea was right after the Minnesota I-35 bridge collapse, and it was this recognition that we've got 4 bridges across the state, and at the time we had 128 of the worst bridges, and the bridge that was here prior to this beautiful bridge was an old steel girder bridge, and it was in poor condition. And any of you that drove across it and lost your side view mirror because of how tight it was, knows that that was a poor bridge, right? And you wouldn't even be standing there right now because pigeons would be defecating on you right now. That was the condition under this bridge. So that is the legislation and the funding source that really made this project happen. But I'll tell you, when you use state funds, we try to make those stretch as far across the state as we can, and so we don't always do beautiful bridges like you've got here. That only happens with the local partners that came to this project, because they had a vision for this project, they had a vision for this structure, for this space here, and they made it happen by contributing funds and also contributing their ideas to make this all look the way it looks today. So I want to call those funding partners out: City of Glenwood Springs, Garfield County, RAFTA, Glenwood Hot Springs Resort, the Downtown Development Authority, EOTC, CenturyLink, Comcast, Eagle County, and Roaring Fork School District. They were all part of making this happen and making this look the way that it looks today. So big thanks to all of those folks. Aside from just the structure itself to make this happen, the community said, and the local businesses that are over here said, please don't close this down for too long. It's our livelihood. It's our economic livelihood. And so we agreed through the process, we'll only shut it down for 95 days. Now, 95 days to make this all happen is a really short period. 95 days, if you're one of these local businesses, is a really long period. So it was striking that balance of how fast can we build it and keep things safe, but also how can we minimize our impacts to the community. And that's really where it all came together. And another big piece of that was travel demand management. This is probably the most successful project in the state for travel demand management. And what that means is we're just trying to take cars off the road, right? This is the main street, and it was a big detour for this project, and a lot of you probably sat in that traffic. The goal was to take 1 out of every 3 cars off the road. That is an ambitious goal, and we ended up with about a 22% reduction in vehicles on the road, which is huge. And that's only because of partnerships with RAFTA and the community. There were local businesses that shifted their hours around to try to take that demand off the system, and it was a huge success. And even down to the school children, I know the Roaring Fork School District was doing the walking bus trips across, just phenomenal. And it's only with partnerships like that and the entire community coming together that makes a beautiful bridge and a process that gets us to this sooner and with less impacts to the entire community. So I would thank everybody. It's also my honor to be able to introduce Governor Hickenlooper. Governor Hickenlooper calls himself a recovering geologist who once owned a local brew pub. You should feel right at home. There's some good granitic formations on the other side of the river, I think. There's a brew pub right around the corner, so you're in a good spot. Also, he's goaded into running for mayor in 2003. Spent nearly 8 years at City Hall before he was convinced to run for governor and became our governor in 2011. Governor Hickenlooper and his team at the state capitol are working hard to restore faith in good government. Please join me in welcoming Governor John Hickenlooper.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate the introduction and certainly all your hard work. You know, one of the famous mayors of Denver was a guy named Robert Spear. Mayor Spear was the mayor in the first part of the early 1900s. I think on and off, he had a couple of different terms up to about 1916. And he said, nobody loves an ugly city. And as I stand here, well, I was sitting here, but now as I stand here, this is a space that has been created by a piece of infrastructure, but this space is remarkable. Right? It's not hard to imagine whether it's the Lost Cajun or the Riviera. I might get a tattoo after this, but this part of the community is now a space where people are going to take visitors or when their family are coming back from town. And we don't always get to this level of the blending of aesthetic quality and basic infrastructure. And when we do, as Josh said, it's when we have local partners stepping up and saying, all right, we want this to be better than good, right? We want this to be the best. And you look at the difference in having the stone-clad columns and the uplighting, you can imagine how bright that is at night. I mean, this is how people, you know, once you build a space, then the space helps define what the community is. And people will remember events and will have more special occasions in a place that looks beautiful. Mike Lewis couldn't be here. He's trying to work on the priorities and figure out, if we do get more transportation funding, what are the priorities that we go to, you know, first, and how do we get them, you know, the greatest bang for the dollar, make sure that we're stretching every single penny. But that's what they did here. And I remember talking to Tom Jankowski when I first got elected governor. I was going to say first got elected mayor, it wasn't then. And it wasn't him, but there was somebody that day who pointed out to me that it had been a long time since there had been a Denver mayor as governor. And there was a lot of suspicion about whether a Denver mayor was going to be able to be true and committed to the West Slope. And I think the record speaks for itself. And the one thing I am proudest about over these last 8 years is we have worked tirelessly with the local officials. And all the success isn't from, you know, the professionals or even with CDOT, the engineers in Denver. It's their workers out here working with the local community. And Bob Rankin's, where's Representative Rankin, who's on the Joint Budget Committee? Just so you know, you have one of the best representatives in the entire General Assembly. And he is the classic example of saying, all right, if we're not going to have government grow, we want smaller government. How do we get that government to do more? And I think that's a legitimate question. And I think this is the kind of answer. You know, I can imagine, you know, Thursday night concerts down here, jazz bands, calypso, children's choirs. There's all manner of possibilities because you guys have all worked to create such an amazing, a real amazing space. And there's a word for the love of place. And I think love of place is at the foundation of all economic development. That word, it's a silly, you know, it's a SAT word, right? It's topophilia. Topophilia means love of place. But Glenwood has it. You guys have an appreciation for where you are and how wonderful this community is, and that is going to be the creation of jobs down the road as you continue to invest and create these amazing spaces that just enhance that love of place. So on behalf of the entire state of Colorado, congratulations.
Good morning. I'm Terry Wilson. I'm the Chief of Police here, and I am honored to be representing the city and to a small degree the Downtown Development Authority. Leslie couldn't be here today and asked that we say a few words on her behalf as well. I'd like to thank the Governor and Mr. Rankin and his wife Joyce for being here for our event, and also recognize our City Councilman. I've seen Mr. Voorhees' notes and Davis hiding somewhere in the back, avoiding the limelight. But as a city, We could not have gotten to the point that we've gotten to with this project without their support. And I feel very blessed that we've worked with and for the people that we have in charge of our city. To me, this entire project is represented in the word partnerships. It started off with CDOT coming to us and saying, hey, guess what, your bridge is falling down. Wasn't a big surprise to many of us, especially those of us that had stood underneath it for more than 5 minutes and dodged bolts and pieces of metal falling down. We knew something needed to be done, and I think we all have known for the last 20 years that have lived here that it was going to happen and it was not going to be easy. The first thing that happened is that we formed that partnership with CDOT, started talking about the mechanics of it, and then under our city leadership, under the DDA's leadership, under council, it spread with CDOT's help and turned into a public visioning process. That's a little outside of my scope usually. And I went to some meetings where I was the only non-engineer or I was the only non-architect. I didn't understand much in those meetings, but what I did get is there were a lot of people really committed to making sure that this happened and happened well. There's been several thank yous come across already, but I feel compelled to issue a few of my own. Our city manager, Deborah. She and our city attorney, Carl Hanlon, were two people that I knew we could get a hold of 24/7 and get any kind of help we needed. We did some pretty amazing things because our council granted our city manager a magic wand. And we were able to almost instantly change parking restrictions, loading zones, the hours that things were open or closed, restrictions or non-restrictions on trails. We made some amazing changes to accommodate what we developed as a plan for managing the traffic in this. We couldn't have done that without our amazing crew, Terry Parch and her crew from the Transportation and Engineering Department of the city. And working together with the whole team from CDOT and locally, you couldn't have better folks than Josh and Roland and Ram and certainly Tracy Ward. We're honored and blessed to have them here on this job. When the visioning began, everyone started talking about how this needs to be iconic and historic and fit our community and look like it belongs. We don't want it to look brand new. We want it to look like it's been part of Glenwood Springs. We want it to fit well with our rivers. We want it to fit well with our historic hotel. I think they did an amazing job. And for that, I can only thank Pat and Galen from the joint venture company that put this thing together. I think what they did is nothing short of a miracle. And I thank them every day for the amazing job they did. The governor just pointed out that we had two trucks coming over the bridge side by side. They were not bouncing off each other or the side of the bridge. Our part in it we set our standard pretty high. We said, job one, we don't want to get anyone killed doing this. And that included us. There were a few times I think folks were aiming at us, but we made it. The amazing thing to see was that the partnership with our community, our businesses, institutions like Valley View Hospital, Holy Cross Electric, all the construction companies that grouped their employees, changed their hours, put people in vans, rode the buses, walked across the pedestrian bridge every morning after getting dropped off on the other side. Our community got that 22% reduction and did so smilingly. I think Glenwood Springs showed its best. I'd like to issue one final and special thank you to Gould Construction and Nunez Masonry. We wouldn't have this if they hadn't really kicked it in the last couple of weeks. They ran into some issues, they overcame everything, and it was important to them because this was important to us. And that is what makes Glenwood Springs the only place to live. Thank you. This is Pat from R.L. Watson. Again, very responsible for where we are today.
Thank you. I'd like to first thank Terry Wilson. He was, as you see this hat, you saw him every day out here on 8th Street during the detour. Some kind of crazy hat, and he made it wonderful. But he was also an integral part of the team, and I just can't say enough for how much Terry Wilson helped us out. So thank you, Terry. I'd also like to thank the whole community. You made us all feel welcome here. Some of us are from Utah, out of state. We always felt welcome here, and the involvement in the construction was amazing. I know once every day I'd walk across the pedestrian bridge and get stopped by somebody on there asking me questions about construction, and it was one of the great pleasures of my day because I love talking about construction, and really nobody really likes listening to me talk about construction. So I really appreciated that, and thank you all. You made this project a huge success, and we all thank you for that. I'd also like to thank the construction team. There's a lot of hard-working guys out there that made it possible for this bridge to get done. And without their work, it wouldn't happen. So thank you to all of them. And specifically to some of to our management staff, there's Aaron Cordova, the structure superintendent, Galen Stewart, the construction manager. A lot of these guys aren't here, but Josh Jefferson, the earthwork structures attendant, Nathan Calloway, Nick Anderson, Christian Tofty, the new project manager out here, or the acting project manager. We're all huge parts of this success, as well as the PI team. Kathleen Vonatovich was amazing. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication. And I'd also like to thank Dave Eller, Roland Wagner, and Josh Boland. You guys were great partners on this job and made it wonderful coming to work every day. And I know we had some disagreements at times, but here we stand with this bridge. It's beautiful, and want to thank you guys a lot. Thank you. And I'd also just like to say this has been a great place to work. I moved my family out here for a year and a half, and my kids didn't want to move at first, and now we've moved back to Utah now, but they still beg to come back. And so this place is amazing, and it's got a place in my heart. And so I just wanted to say again, thank you all. And I think up next is Tom Janikowski, the Garfield County Commissioner.
Well, thank you, everybody. A lot of what I was going to say has been said, but Garfield County contributed $3 million to this. The city of Glenwood Springs contributed $3 million. The Up Valley governments contributed to this. So that this was a small piece, but we have a piece in this as well. But I want to talk a little bit about the social impacts of this. They've been talked about, but we had, I don't know how many cars are going through Glenwood Springs, 15,000 in the morning or so, 15,000 in the afternoon. And each of those people added an extra hour to their day. And so you times that out 90 days and you get, but tens of millions of dollars of social impact to our community. And I really think our community did that with dignity. And thank you to Chief Wilson and also to the fire department and the PD for, I didn't really hear, maybe after the first couple days anyway, didn't hear a lot of road rage. People just accepted it and did the best they could do. And it truly was it was a social project, but a social experiment as well. And it was the riding the bus, thank you RAFTA, and it was the carpooling and the walking across the bridge and using your bikes and the children using the walking bus, and it's also the commitment from the hot springs pool and for those 90 days it didn't not only affect the downtown businesses, but it affected every business in this community. And so it's really a big project, and we'll be happy to see the final completion here downtown. So I would like to ask everybody to come back downtown and shop these businesses because they've been impacted as well for the all winter. So but I would like one more time, I would like applause for Glenwood Springs PD and applause for Glenwood Springs Fire Department because they did an outstanding job. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to John Cater. John is with the Federal Highway Department. John.
Well, good morning. It's great to see so many here. And I think that's indicative of the partnership that this project is, because great projects don't just come from somebody from outside coming in and delivering a project or dumping what they think is best for you. It's about collaboration. We've heard a lot of examples here of how so many different players, so many different parties came together to decide what should be built here, and then to make it happen in the end. So I think at the end we've got something that has focophilia, as the word I just learned, something that has a place here that's going to be a great credit to the community. You know, and we don't do transportation projects just because they're cool. I mean, a few of us think they're cool, but beyond that, we do it because they serve a need. And the need is to do a couple of things: to help the economy, to help people get from place to place to do their business, but also to get people where they want to go, just for fun things, for activities. And I think this is going to be a great amenity for the community for a long, long time, because it does those two things. You know, and this project had a lot of challenges. Not only the social challenges we talked about, but there's a lot of different things you have to deal with here. You've got a river through here, a recreational river. You've got a Amtrak rail line that serves a national purpose here. You've got a historic downtown that we're respectful of. We've got lots of commuter traffic going back and forth, as we heard. We've got a hot springs on the other side we have to be very careful about as we build their structure. And of course, we have an interstate highway that goes through here. That's again a national facility we can't impact at least in a very minimal way. So a lot of things going on here. This wasn't an easy project to put together, but fortunately this project had a lot of innovations, and I want to talk about a couple of them they had here. With my agency, Federal Highway Administration, we have a program called Everyday Counts. And the premise of that is that every day means something. We shouldn't just put things off and do something good somewhere down the road. We should do it today, because every day counts and we'll make things better today. And so a couple of innovations that were used on this project were roundabouts and CMGC. And CMGC is Construction Manager General Contractor. And what that essentially means is, rather than waiting to bring in the contractor after you've designed the project, you've opened the plans, and then you bring in the contractor, you bring them in in the design phase. They're not the designer, but they're providing input. They're providing guidance to the designer, so that you get a project that's more constructible. It's one that you can find solutions to some of those problems, make it more buildable, do things in a way that reduces impacts and minimizes delays. And the Granite Wadsworth Consortium was brought in and will be able to provide great input to designers. And I think one example of how that worked is the fact that the project got done ahead of schedule. The 95 days wasn't, they have to use the full 95 days. They used close, but didn't have to use them because they did these things up front and were able to take advantage of that innovation. So a great credit there to the team. Roundabouts, I want to mention them just briefly because that's something that, roundabouts were first used in a major way here in the western slope in Colorado, the first place nationally. And some of you probably saying, well, roundabouts are no big deal. But they are still some places nationally. And the good news, I think, is that you don't think of them as innovative because they're just routine. That's the goal, is to take these things, these innovations, make them routine, just make them part of the toolbox. So another example of innovation being done here that's spread across the country. And finally, I have to mention, I think everybody's done it, but I have to mention too the credit to the community here for pulling together to make those 90 days work, to do the things you did, the school kids walking across the bridge, just on and on and on and on those examples. Not every community in the country could pull that out. Not many could, probably. And I think it's a credit to all of you standing here and to the folks who aren't standing here but are at their jobs, whoever. They were able to take those huge impacts to your day, make that happen, and do it in a successful way. So my hat's off to you. Congratulations on a very successful project and a job well done. So with that, I'll turn it back to David.
Thank you, John. Thank you again for coming. I knew as I was trying to remember people, I'd forget somebody. But one thing I want to point out that wasn't talked about, and Chief Wilson talked about public safety and how important it is. Certainly, you all play part of that, right? And in construction zone, things are unsafe, and it takes a lot of patience. It takes people talking about public safety through construction. A project like this, as a CDOT guy, it's very important to me that everybody goes home with their families at the end of the day. And they go home healthy and in good shape, right? That whether it's our maintenance staff, our construction staff, or our contractors. I think they had 2 minor injuries on this project, and that alone says something about their integrity to what they bring to the table, and I just want to thank them for that. Thank you. Last but not least, one of the people I forgot to mention, my very favorite transportation commissioner sitting here in the blue with me, Kathy Hall, who's out of Grand Junction, represents your district. One of the big challenges for this project, when we rolled out this bridge, it was the most expensive bridge enterprise project we had going in the state of Colorado. So our Transportation Commission, they say that, hey, we care about the state as a whole, as our governor talked about. We don't care just about our projects and our districts, we care about the state as a whole. And it was a challenge to talk about the most expensive bridge enterprise project in the state of Colorado. We put all that money into Glenwood Springs. And our commission supported us, and they helped us get that funding and get us across the line. So I appreciate them and the consistency they bring to transportation. Means everybody in the state and all of our visitors. So thank you. With that, I would like to bring up, after we're done here, we're going to cut the ribbon for the project right here in front rather than get up there and all that traffic. And then we're going to install the time capsule for this project, which is kind of a neat idea all of its own. And then we're going to unveil a plaque in the back. And so it's kind of our 3 events. We'd ask you to kind of stick around with us and be part of that as well. I know our governor's on a tight time schedule. He's got to get out of here, but we'll try to keep things moving. With that, Tracy's going to talk a little bit about this plaque and why we're unveiling this plaque.
Thanks, Dave. And thank you all for being out here today. This obviously is exciting for those of us who live right here in Glenwood. One of the really neat things about this project was, again, all the community things that happened. When we cut the ribbon on the vehicular bridge, we had some boys from the school that helped a fellow person who was hurt, and that was kind of a big deal. And then another neat thing is that Derek Johnson with Colorado Mountain College Professional Photography Program called me. I used to be in Derek's program, and he said, look, I have this student who's doing this remarkable architectural work around the bridge. And so what we decided to do is look at Antonio's work, and you're going to get to see it on display here today shortly. But what I want to encourage you, and I want Antonio to come up. Come on up, Antonio. Again, Antonio's from Pennsylvania, but he made Colorado his choice for where to go to college. And again, what I really want to encourage you, if you've got the program, he has a show that's happening at the Visitor Center, the Chamber Visitor Center, from June 22nd to the 15th. It's called A Beautiful Span, Photos of the New Grand Avenue Bridge. I think some of the beautiful images he's taken are for sale, so go support this great kid who's going to college and who's found a passion in architectural photography based around this project. So another really neat story to come out. His mom and dad and his grandparents came all the way from Pennsylvania today to support him, and This is what you gotta love about Glenwood Springs, and this is what you gotta love about Colorado. So again, thank you. Dave mentioned logistics. We're gonna bring everyone down kind of in front here. We're gonna cut the ribbon with all of you in the background, because I mean, this view is amazing, and if you haven't seen it from this side, you gotta take a look. Then we'll move quickly to the time capsule and then to the back. And then the city has planned a fantastic event with music, and there's cupcakes, and let's just make this, sending this bridge off for the CDOT crew anyway, like the thing that we can all be excited about. So once again, thank you for being here.
crazy here.
This was an idea that came out of the construction office and the project management office. Galen said, is there something unique that we can do? I've got a great idea. Why don't we put a time capsule into the column on one of the bridges and put mementos from the project in there. And for those of you that sign your name on the scroll, that will be in the time capsule. There's other items that are in there too. And we're going to officially put the time capsule into the bridge. And Aaron is going to do that. Aaron has the honor. The superintendent for the Grand Avenue Bridge project. This guy made a lot happen on the ground. This is the Grand Avenue Bridge time capsule. We're going to install the plaque later. You'll have a chance to sign your name if you get it. We'll make sure that we get everybody here today on that scroll. Okay, if everyone could follow me, we're going to move over to unveil the official Grand Avenue Bridge plaque.
Excuse me.
All right, let's all do on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Everyone involved in this project should be very proud of themselves. Have a wonderful morning, and here's to the Grand Avenue Bridge project.